Hey, welcome back to the channel. I am Walt, and in this video we're going to be talking about a Lost Vape product. It's a relatively new product and it garnered my interest. I'll talk more about that in just a bit. It is the Lost Vape Grus. So, let's take a look. Starting with the front of the mod. On the very top, we've got the fire button, and we've got our screen. We've got two select buttons, one on the top and one on the bottom of the three buttons. And then in the center is a select button. Here's a Type-C charging port. Flip it over to one side. Very nice, clean aesthetic with a carbon fiber inlay. Says Lost Vape on the top. Flip it over again. Pure stainless steel. Flip over again. We have our carbon fiber inlay, says Grus. On the top, got our 510. That's a 30 millimeter 510, and it is spring loaded. On the bottom, our battery door. And that battery door, there's a little ring here that slip your fingernail under it. If you got long fingernails, it's easier. Honestly, I haven't had that much trouble before. Anyway, and there it is flipped up. So, get my big hands right in the way of everything. Turn that off. Those threads are sweet. They're just like very, 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 very smooth. And you can see I've got an 18650 in there, or 18650, 21700 in there right now. And you can use that with a 2700 and or an 18650 with a provided adapter, which looks like that. In the very bottom of that battery wall, there's a tiny, tiny little plus. So you kind of got to try to remember how to put the battery in for the most part. It's kind of hard to see. Flip that down. It's ready to go. Very, very, very simple aesthetic with this. I probably, I guess in a sense, I shouldn't be doing this review because I did buy this thing, and I bought it because I liked the aesthetic. I liked the way it looked. I liked the size of it. I figured it would fit in my hand really well, and it does. I like the fact that it was a 21700 single because I can get good battery life out of that. And yeah, so far, pretty pleased. In a little bit, we'll see how it actually performs, and we'll know more about it. I don't know how much of the screen we're going to be able to see, especially with this a little ways away from the camera and with my big fingers in the way. But our fire button right here, there's our screen, and we've got the resistance, the battery. It shows that it's in power mode and says watts as power mode. Time of the puff counter. And the screen likes to shut down pretty quick. On the bottom, you got a number of different colors. 5 clicks will turn it off. 5 clicks brings it back up. 3 clicks on this thing does nothing. If you hit the select button, you see the power turn red there. Now you can go up to one of the select buttons, either the top or the bottom, and you can rotate. You go power, voltage. Voltage goes up to 7 volts. Go to nickel, titanium, and stainless steel, all of which are temperature control. And on any of those, if you hit the center button, okay, then you've made your choice to be in that mode. And then you can go up and down and make any adjustments you want. I'll go back into power mode, choose power mode. Now, another thing I can do is I can hard press or hold this down, long press it I guess, and you can see the screen changes colors. Long press it again, Changes colors, long press it again. Changes colors. Now, the bottom two buttons, we press these both at the same time. And if you can do it right, oh, I did it already. It cleared the puff counter. So then you start all over with your puff counter. You click the two top ones at the same time, if I can do it. And I seem to be having difficulty with that. Oh my. And it'll lock it. And that just locks the adjustment. You can still vape on it. It just locks these buttons so you don't accidentally hit those and make changes. Do it again. And you unlock it. That's it. There you go. That's your entire menu system. I was thinking about this a bit ago, and this is a part of the process that I've really never shown everybody. I guess I've just been too lazy to take the time to do it. So this is how I set up for testing. What we're looking at here is a milliohm meter. It's just a very sensitive resistance meter. And we'll set that down to the 2 ohm position. That'll be sufficient for what we're testing. Now I'm going to take the two ends and clip them together. And I can tell they're not. Oops. There we go. Now we got a good contact. And we'll zero this close as we can. It's pretty finicky. So there we're at 0.00000. And what I use to load the mods when I test them, I use high wattage, high precision resistors. That way I don't have to deal with the heat that's going to come off the coil, and I don't have to deal with the variance in resistance as the coil changes resistance with heat, as we know it will because of temperature control. So at any rate, I'll take and I'll clip on the two ends of my little test load here. And there we go, that's 0.504. Now I'll make note of that. Basically a half ohm for all intents and purposes, but I'll use it right at the 0.504 just to double test my load. And I do this with all the loads that I use in testing all the devices. Okay, so the next thing that I do is I take that one of the test loads, and this one is a 1 ohm test load, and I screw that into the bottom half of a retired RDA, obviously so that I can power it. I've got the mod set to 100 watts right now because I want to see how it operates at the extreme, what I'm interested in. I've got a little a flash drive in here so I can capture the different screenshots from the oscilloscope. Now an oscilloscope really isn't all that technical or hard to understand piece of equipment. It's pretty simple. It's a very precise voltage meter that reads the voltage across whatever points you put the probe on, and it will read it real time and then graph it for you. So it'll show you that voltage over time and draw a graph for you. So that's about all that an oscilloscope is. So we're going to get up here so I can stop it. I don't want to run it forever. And press it. And I have the leads reversed. I can tell that because the line disappears, so the voltage is going into the negative is why it's appearing to disappear. If that makes any sense. Okay, here we go. Let's try it again. All right, so there we got, and there we'll stop it. So there is our graph, and then I can move that a little bit if I want, just so I can see the very beginning. And you can see that you got a really super fast rise time, and it shows the voltage. It's running a whole 6.8 volts right now. Yeah, so that's how an oscilloscope works. I'm not going to go through each one of these graphs right now and explain, my thoughts about them or the performance. I'll do that later on in the video, but I just wanted folks to be able to see, how it's done. Oh yeah, and then I can hit the print right here. Yeah, I know what it's supposed to do, so go ahead and do it. There we go. And that saved it to the flash drive, so I can put it on the computer and we can talk about it a little bit later. So I'm going to try something new again, and this is a screen recorder, and that's what you're looking at right now, is just the recorder itself. And it's called OBS, as in Oscar Bravo Sierra Studio, and it's for free. And I'm pretty impressed, I think. I'm going to record this and we'll see how it works out. But I'm using just a microphone that plugs right into a USB along with it. And so here we go. We're going to look at some of the screenshots here of from the oscilloscope. And we'll start off with our 1 ohm shot, or basically 1 ohm resistance, close to 1 ohm resistance. So on this one, when I use the milliohm meter, I got 0.97 ohms, and the mod read it exactly the same, within a few tenths. The voltage delivered to the coil was 8.12 volts. That's notable. According to the specs, this mod has boost technology, but only boosts to 7 volts. Well, it did a little more this time. It got up to 8.12 volts. That's an interesting fun fact, I guess. Rise time, basically nearly instant, around instant, pretty darn fast. Wattage delivered was 65.94 watts, and all of these, by the way, are set for the full 100 watts that the model put out. The idea here is just to see what it's capable of, see what she can do. And then the noise boost, I consider this negligible. Now the noise is this area. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, this area up in here. Okay, what you can see is a very wide line, and you can see that it's kind of jagged on the top and bottom. What that is is with the boost technology, they take the DC voltage coming off the mod itself, they turn it into AC, and while it's AC, they can actually boost that voltage, and then they turn it back into DC. Well, the noise on the top comes from them not filtering it real well, okay, before they deliver to the coil. Good reason for that? That would just add extra cost. Filtering a DC signal just for the purpose of delivering power to a coil doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense. It would make sense if it were some kind of audio or video application or some real sensitive application where the voltage had to be super clean, some kind of real temperamental electronics application, but not in delivering power to a coil. So I would consider that negligible. I would consider that very acceptable. So in my books, the mod did a real nice job on this. I wouldn't expect it to deliver any more than 65, 66 basically watts to a full ohm coil. I think that's pretty exceptional. The next one I want to look at is a half a ohm and or 0.5 ohms. I'm still getting used to where all the things are on this OBS. There we go. So on this one, the metered resistance was 0.504 ohms. The mod resistance was 0.47 ohms. And the coil, the voltage delivered to the coil was 6.72 volts. Wattage delivered to the coil was 96.08 watts. Out of 100, that's really plenty for a half ohm coil. I mean, you're vaping a half ohm coil, well, it depends, I guess, on the build, but most half ohm coils are not going to deal well with 96 watts. You can build them that obviously more complex coils and thicker coils, whatnot, that will deal with it well, but in most cases, no. Rise time, 10 milliseconds, pretty darn quick. You know, not instantaneous, but pretty darn quick. It's a rather linear ramp here over on the side. And the noise, again, is what I would consider negligible, and it is boosting. I mean, the battery itself puts out, you know, 4.2 volts, something in that range, close to that. So it's boosted up to 6.7. So again, you know, my books, the mod's doing a real nice job. Next one up. Quarter ohm or very close to 0.25 ohms. And okay. So the meter read the resistance at 0.257 ohms and the mod read it at 0.25. Again, all these are very, very close. The mod's doing a nice job of reading resistances. I'm not going to fault it one bit. Doing a real nice job. The voltage at the coil is 4.88 volts, a slight boost. Wattage delivered to the coil is 95.26. Again, in my humble opinion, plenty of wattage for that particular load, that particular resistance. I consider that noise to be negligible. And the rise time here from the time it gets all the way to the top from our starting point when the thing actually fires. It doesn't include, I mean, there may be some other delay in firing between actually pressing the button and when the thing fires. I would have no idea. I'm just not going to go there. I don't know. But the actual fire rise time is 3 milliseconds on it. And again, a real nice flat DC signal. Just keeps it up real good. No faltering, nothing like that. Looking real good there. The last one is something I wouldn't use. I just don't get into this low of a voltage, or excuse me, low of a resistance. But it's the meter read it at 0.17 ohms, the mod read it at 0.15. The voltage at the coil was 3.96 volts, and that was plenty of voltage to deliver 104.5 watts. So here it delivered more than what it's rated for by 4.5 watts. The rise time was instant. It didn't even draw a line. Okay, it was instant up to about, I'm guessing, 3.5 volts. And then there's, again, about a 30 millisecond delay, and then another little 5 millisecond ramp to get to 3.96. This is a little strange. No idea why this would be. I don't think it'd be anything that anybody would notice in a vape. Maybe somebody would, hard to say. But yeah, I can't really explain that or give any credibility to, you know, if that's really a good thing or really a bad thing or just the way it is. I would think it's just the way it is. Again, we do have noise, and that's not boosted. We can see up here, noise, you know, some noise present with no boost. So evidently it's going through that boost circuitry regardless of whether it actually has to be boosted or no. And there again, that just gives us a little insight into, you know, how the mod actually operates. So that's testing, and I would consider all those tests really positive results from this. I would say, you know, in comparison to the mods that I've tested in the past and whatnot, this is a very, very good performer. There's no doubt about it. So we'll go to the next thing. Okay, here we go. Here's a test that sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. It just worked a bit ago, and in fact what you're seeing is a coil cooling down. It's yeah, just cooling down. So now I'm going to hit the fire button. Yeah, it looks like I got it set right. You got to get the probe just in the perfect spot for this to work correctly. You can see it's basically centering right around 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's what I've got it set for. In stainless steel at 400 degrees. So it's testing out pretty good as far as the actual temperature that it's delivering at the coil. Which, one thing I did notice with this is that it behooves you to remove whatever coil you have on the mod. Press the fire button so it says no atomizer, and put that new coil that you're going to use for temperature control, put it on and hit the fire button. It'll say new or old coil, tell it it's a new coil, putting it on cold like that, and that'll give you the best results as far as hitting the proper temperature. So yeah, this time it worked pretty good. You got a good representation. It's hitting the proper temperature. Alright, so seeing how well this thing tested as far as holding temperature, I just had to run one more test. Sorry to prolong the video here, but this is the oscilloscope watching as the mod actually burns through some juice, and you can see our startup time is pretty darn fast. This is a rather low resolution. I put it at a full. You can see up here, it's at a full second. I did that just so that we could see this thing work over time for a little bit. So for the first, I don't know, I'm going to say maybe 10, 15 milliseconds. Okay, it's rising. It gets all the way up at the highest point to 67 watts. Now with this particular device, you don't set wattage for temperature control. It takes care of everything. So it really hits it hard in the beginning to get that thing up to temperature fast. That's pretty cool. And then it very rapidly drops down as that coil heats up to about 32 watts right in there. And then you can see it over this 3-second period, okay, right in here. You can see it basically working through the juice. Now once that 3-4 seconds is over, okay, it's pretty much sucked all the juice out of that cotton, and the cotton's no longer keeping up. And then you can see where it starts this pattern. Okay, it goes down to basically nothing, then that cotton starts to juice up again, so it says okay, it tries, but no, it depletes it again, and you can see that it's cycling here at this point in time. So it's doing a pretty dang nice job of following the temperature of that coil and making adjustments accordingly. So at any rate, just wanted to show that. I thought that was pretty interesting for sure. Okay, so how do I wrap this up? If I were going to use a couple words to try to describe this mod, I think the description would be simply sophisticated. I like the look of it. Okay, they're very, very simple lines, and at the same time very sophisticated. Okay, now, some people may think it looks a little industrial. That's a possibility, but it's very sleek. And the operation is much the same. It's very simple. There's not a lot there. We don't have any Bluetooth speakers. We don't have any flashing lights. We don't have the ability to adjust the brightness of the screen. We don't have a lot of different things. But at the same time, okay, it takes care of the wattage for us as far as setting temp control. So temp control has never been simpler. You go to the wire you use, select that, set your temperature, and vape. That's pretty significant. That's pretty nice. It's something that is easy to use. Yeah, I like playing around with different mods, and your DNAs and your E-highs. They can be a lot of fun to tinker with. Okay, some of the different variable voltage and not so much variable voltage, but variable wattages. You set all the different points in. Variable temperatures, you set different temperature points. All that, they can be fun to play with. But when I'm out and about and during my daily use of a mod, I want something I can pick up, I can vape, I don't have to putz with. Okay, it's real simple to use, and this really, really fits the bill. I vaped it today at work, got about 8 hours out of the battery, which I think is just phenomenal. At work, it's a desk kind of a thing, so I'm constantly vaping. It isn't like I'm puffing every half hour or something of that nature. The operation is it's smooth, it's flawless. Some concerns that I may have, I just don't know. Okay, time will tell. Um, this is a magnesium alloy, so even the stainless that I got is painted. Now, Lost Vape has not done real great over time, as far as I'm concerned, with keeping their paint intact. Every one of my Lost Vape mods is pretty paintless. It only takes a few years and it starts to wear off pretty rapidly. Now, they still operate, they still function, they still do a nice job, but again, time will tell. Another thing I guess maybe worth mention is anytime you have a screw-on battery cap on the bottom where it itself is one of the contacts, and it is a negative contact, you do have to, it will behoove you to watch the threads on both the cap and in the mod and keep those clean. Otherwise they'll get dirty and they'll start offering resistance to the mod, and the little cap on the bottom will get hot and start sapping some of the power away from the coil itself. So that's another consideration for a mod of this design. I kind of like that cap like that on the bottom. I know if I drop it, I try not to drop them, but it happens. Knock them over. You get some of these with a magnetic side on and whatnot, and you have batteries and sides and everything all over. Okay, fine. You got to go pick them up, catch them rolling down the floor. Battery's not going to come out of this. It's in there. It's solid. Yeah, there's no worries there. So, all in all, I think this is a real winner. And one of the things that I alluded to at the beginning of this video was, it piqued my interest. Well, that being, Lost Vape is almost synonymous with DNA chipsets, and they've used them for a very, very long time. It was a little while ago they come out with their own chipset, and I kind of wondered, how are they going to do with that? What kind of a chipset are they going to be able to come up with? This is much less expensive than some of the Lost Vapes that have had the DNA chips in them, and in my mind, of course, there's a possibility that you might not get as good of a chip. I was pleasantly surprised. This thing is it's working very, very well, both in wattage and temperature control. The temperature control itself, as far as day-to-day vaping with it, it does a real nice job of letting you know that you're running out of liquid as you get low. As your addy starts running out, it starts reducing the vape on you. You start, oh man, what's going on? It's not producing. Oh, okay. It's the juice is going down, and it's never had a dry hit off of it. So yeah, I can vape this next to either a DNA or a Yeehai, and I have to be honest, I don't notice any difference in the temperature control. I mean, as far as the vape itself, what it feels like, the temperature that I'm getting out of it, the smoothness of the vape. So yeah, this is in my humble opinion, this is a very impressive mod. So with that, I guess I'll just thank everybody who does watch it for watching it, and don't know when I'll do another video. These things now are more when I get the urge. I've been wanting to try one of these. I've been wanting to do another video. I just enjoy doing videos, so we'll see. But at any rate, until next time, thanks. Have a good one. Enjoy.